You know we got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Picket lines, picket signs, don't punish me. Brutality, talk to me so you can see what's going on, what's going on, what's going on. I wanna know what's going what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Mother, mother, mother. Everybody says that we're wrong. Who are they to judge us? Simply because my hair's gone. Oh, no, no. You know we got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Picket lines, picket signs, don't punish me. Brutality, talk to me so you can see. Oh, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. What's going on? I wanna know what's going on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Will you tell me what's going on? What's going on? Yeah, yeah. Oh, mother, everybody says that we're wrong. Who are they to judge us? Simply because my hair's gone. No, no, no. You know we got to find a way to bring some understanding today. Picket lines, picket signs, don't punish me. Brutality, talk to me so you can see what's going on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's going on? Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's going on? Will you tell me what's going on? I wanna know what's going on.
Thin line between being a genius and a saint. God, immortal. Yeah. Every minute I fight with lethargy, striving to be godly with an intelligence quotient that exceeds numerology. Scholar body honorary, school of prophet alum, anthropomorphized lessons so I could become the heartbeat of righteousness. The everyday fight to pump the blood of kings and breathe the breath of life. Moving up like Confederates and Yankee territories in the 17th century. But it's a thin line between divinity and iniquity. The Mason-Dixon hitting and complacent decisions. Can't escape the collision. Time be idle like Billy. Party like a rock star. Fall like that girl that used to endorse Trim Spa or Nirvana's lead vocalist. The clientele of the dream merchant like Mr. Chappelle. People think I'm sick in the mind and leave the comforts of Babylon behind and book flights on airlines to Africa. Traveling the globe, accomplishing goals like Ronaldinho. The victim of a level 12 quake, I rise through the wreckage, repairing brain damage and striving for perfection. Your mind can be your worst antagonist or a true pal, and you shall become legendary and futile. Decisions of a god in training on a daily basis. I nap purposely, trying to escape it. The thin line, the thin line.
Hey, it's Thursday and welcome to the green side of things. It's your man Sadeek
and Cassiopeia.
And we need you to like,
comment,
and share.
And I'm going to do this one for Don. Okay,
Do it
the
for
Book
her.
of Don.
You want to start over?
Yes, this one's for Don.
This is for Don.
This is
Okay.
for Don.
So, welcome to the green side, everybody. It's your man Sadeek,
And Cassiopeia.
and we need you to like
Comment.
and share.
That thing.
We need you to do it right now, right now, right now.
Yes.
Cassiopeia, what's happening?
What's up, man?
It's all good. It's Thursday.
It is.
It's Thursday. Yeah.
We here. We back. Did y'all miss us?
Did they miss us? I don't know. They out there. You got to talk to them. What's happening? YouTube. I see YouTube filing in.
They coming in.
Facebook.
Coming
We gonna let YouTube. Come on. We got to keep it balanced now. I see YouTube filing in. Facebook, the green side. I think what we gonna call it? Green siders. What we gonna do? What we gonna do?
No, right?
We need to, because we got some real support out
Green
there.
bees.
I don't know about that. Ron, what
Bees or peas?
Bees.
Why bees?
We're-
Ooh,
Bees.
green peas.
we no.
No.
No, we're not going to do
You don't
green
like green
peas.
peas?
I do not whatsoever. We're not going to be the laughing stock of social media on where the green peas. We're not doing that.
It'll make
We're
it
not going to do
funny.
that. Ron Rilla, what's happening? What's going on?
You have a
What's
little
going on,
pea
y'all?
as a
How y'all
little-
feeling today?
Hey, Ron,
Good.
we feel great. Let me tell you something, brother. I know in the morning that they have Sonya, and I love Sonya. You understand? But you are our super producer.
Come on now.
Thank you.
Come on now.
Appreciate it.
Ron.
I just wanna
Rilla.
say- Ron Rilla, baby.
Appreciate
The
that.
third.
No.
And
Come
now, 6'6",
Right.
from North Carolina, Ron Rilla.
Oh, let's get ready to ball. I love that guy. His
Feeling
little
good. I'm on my second and a half day right
And
now.
the man in the middle, we are Bill. Y'all miss those days. I know you do. I do.
well, his little brother does UFC.
We don't care.
Okay.
We don't care. We were just,
Aight.
we were caught up in the nostalgia. No, I'm just
I know, right?
Just teasing. What's going out there? Tucson said, manager man. Y'all crazy out there. What's up? What's going on, you all? We will say it again. We need you to like
Comment
and share.
that
We need you to do it right now, right now. You're on the green side of things. And Cassie, we got a bomb show for
Yeah,
everybody
we
today.
do.
Y'all got it. We're going to get into a lot of bit of spirituality. We're going to talk about traditional African spirituality. We do maybe a little piece of this every month, every other month. I know we didn't do any in March because it was Black Women's History Month. And we had a super dope Black woman on every show for the entire month.
Yeah.
We showcased
Yes.
top.
Because we the ish. We had Africa, of course, but she always with us, but she was featured.
Okay,
Because,
yeah.
you know, she 5 Emmy nominated.
And
And
Africa
winner.
this month joined the show. She's
Yes.
our Tuesday
Come
standard.
on. Turn up Tuesday.
Hey, what's going
We
on
be
in
on
Africa's
fire.
world? Tuesdays is Africa's world. Shout out to Sister Africa Porter, 5-time Emmy Award winner.
Winning.
And she's the Chicago Defender Woman of the Year.
Come on now.
Just hot. Just what can you say? So Africa Porter, we love you. She's out there. We appreciate you all coming on in the room. I gotta give this shout out because she did it for me. So today is my co-host 21st. I'm gonna say this is hard. Deltaversary.
Come on now.
She
Come on.
today. Do they say this anymore? I'm gonna say it anyway because I'm old, y'all. She crossed the burning sands of Delta Sigma Theta.
I sure did.
You want to give them the time?
I sure did. I cannot.
No time.
I
Okay, she can't do that.
I will.
But it
y'all
happened
not-
today.
Y'all not sending me up to national headquarters.
Not
this
sending.
time.
There is no time.
We're not going to say that neither. I'm just not telling
yeah.
y'all that.
We're
none
not
of
telling that. Right. But I'm just saying, as far as anybody's concerned, this might not even be the
Right,
day. We don't know. We're throwing it out
This
there.
is our official day.
This is their official day. And
Yes.
so congrats.
Yes.
Happy Deltaversary.
Happy Deltaversary. We are legal. We're 21 this year.
21 years.
Shout out to all my shippies. There
That's
are
right.
16 of us that
16.
crossed the burning sands. One of us has gone to the Omega chapter.
Okay, peace.
Yes, Shannon Johnson Joyner, many love and blessings to her. Shout out to all of our shippies. We talked to my captain this morning.
My
That-
captain.
His captain. He's
My
always
captain.
claiming
That is my
ship.
captain. That's my ship. We bonded over that. We became ship. So I share part of this day. So I just want to say that. And
Where's
to
our
all
gift?
16,
Right.
everybody.
That you need to plan a year.
Yeah, well, I am. I got next. Well, I don't want to step on any toes. But whatever
You're
year I
planning
can
the
get
17th
in, I
year.
can plan the
well,
17th.
Like,
No.
the 17th cycle, the next
But
17th
can I get
cycle.
5, though?
Can you get 5?
Today, this is 5. Can I slide in? I'm a 5.
Yeah, but Tammy's our 5. So,
Okay. Tammy, I love you.
you
And
know.
happy Deltaversary to all my ships. They adopted me.
Yes. So I was number
Well,
11.
2 of them
We're
did.
DS Ghosts from the most magnificent the chapter. Most humbly greet thee.
Okay. So, happy anniversary. Okay. All right.
Shout out to all the Cyrus out there. Happy D9 anniversary, because April is like the month when everybody crosses.
Everybody literally crossed in April.
Yeah.
April and May.
Yes.
Everybody literally
For us,
crossed.
Who said he don't
Been
remember
March.
when he crossed?
Well, that's because 2's old.
2.
Yeah.
I'm a 2.
And he needs some spirulina.
2. You got a cat symbol coming your way.
He needs some spirulina.
I'm about to do it right now.
He said, ooh, ooh, or whatever they saying.
2. You got a cat. You got a cat symbol coming.
Y'all done gave me a headache. Y'all done gave me a headache already.
Oh my God. Ooh, but whatever they be saying. 2, don't play like that. Don't
Cassie.
Stop pretending like you don't know.
Cassie, what is happening with the black mom?
Oh man.
Can we talk about it yet?
And so what I will say, I need everybody.
This means
to
we can't talk
mark
about it.
Their calendars.
Okay.
From May 1st.
May 1st?
May 1st.
We got to mark the calendars. May
Mark
1st.
your calendars for May 1st.
Okay.
Because it's about to go down.
I love that. I love that, everybody. 2 said again, he doesn't care.
I know you
Listen.
don't care to.
Listen, everybody. The Black Mall is doing something huge, and we
Yes.
need you to circle
Yes.
May 1st on the calendar.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, we're going to be taking this buying black to a whole nother level.
Ooh. Ooh.
We about to take it buying black to a whole nother level, and we super excited. My makeup just all fell off,
Cassie
but-
had breakfast this morning. I just want to let everybody know.
Oh, my
so
God.
She is. Don't
Can
do
I
it.
tell y'all about my
Don't-
breakfast?
Don't do it. Yes. Tell us about it, Cassie, please.
So you
Look at
know,
Ron.
of
Ron is
course-
like, yes, tell us.
Yes. Oh my God. So I'm in Animal Free April.
Animal Free April. Shout out to Animal Free April and
Yes.
all the people that are here at Wiftaba Media. Ron is in Animal Free April.
Yes.
Yep.
Toussaint is in
Yes.
Animal Free April.
And speaking of
Mary.
Before you go into
Yes.
your story about your breakfast,
Uh-huh.
I went and got one of those sloppy burgers yesterday.
Ooh, how was it?
My God. You was-
Look at it. He
I
just,
lied.
he called on
Listen.
God.
I'm telling you.
The burger is fire.
God.
Sheesh.
The burger's fire.
It's almost like eating a beef burger. Like I felt like I can't eat
yeah,
this
I
all
really-
the time.
I really felt like I was eating a real burger. I couldn't tell the difference at all.
That's the whole
Gee.
point. And we don't even.
They
It just
killed
tastes
that.
good. It just tastes good.
they killed.
It just tastes good.
Matter of fact, I'll say this. That's one of the best burgers I've just had, period, in a long time.
It's just about taste. That's all we want. Black people just
Gee.
want taste.
81st and Stony. See, because I was searching y'all. 'Cause y'all told me 83rd.
Cassie told you
I
that.
said 83rd. It was off 83rd. My bad.
Don't worry. I
Cassie
found
said
it.
y'all.
Yes.
Cassie said
They
that.
listed on the Black
they're
Mall,
open
too.
and they're open to like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Yes.
We might have to go by there and get one today.
Absolutely. Man,
Man,
listen.
like what's up? What's
Those,
up?
with
those are
it.
going to get me through the month.
But hey,
Yeah.
but there you go. But we got some we got some other stuff for you. We got some other stuff. We're gonna get you through the month.
Listen, y'all,
Got
if,
you.
for real,
Please,
if y'all
real
just want,
talk.
first of all, let me just say this. If y'all just want to learn about eating good food, period, join Animal Free April.
Real talk.
If you just want to do, cause Sadeek's a foodie.
I am. Real talk.
I'm a foodie.
Real talk.
And there's foodies up in there. So we're snobs. Like, we just don't eat anything, period.
Right.
Like, me, even as vegan-ish, when I'm eating other food, like, I'm it's gonna be good.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's
But
gonna
we got
be
something
good.
for you. What's up, Tiger? What's up, Boosie?
Let me tell y'all.
Look.
Hey,
Hold
Tiger.
on, Cassie.
Oh,
Y'all, do I have to put?
Susan.
I had to put Cassie on y'all. What they need to do? Cassie?
Susan, what you? Oh, y'all. Y'all
They
being
playing
stingy
with
right
us.
now.
They being stingy.
Y'all being stingy with y'all shares? Are you being stingy with your shares?
Are we doing that?
You know, I shared.
I know you
we know
should. I
did,
shared.
right? I did.
Don't be stingy with your shares because you know we have a great time.
Come on,
and
green
we give y'all
ciders.
all the good information.
Where my green ciders?
We get y'all souls, lifted up in here. Okay, we just get your life right.
That's what we here
So
to do.
don't be selfish with getting your life right. Let somebody else get their life right too.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Susan, this sloppy burger that we're talking about that Ron ended up tasting too is at Mickey's, and it's called the Beyond Burger. Get it as is. Don't touch it. And you're welcome.
Do not open it in the car. Get to a table and get you a bib,
That's
some
facts.
napkins.
I definitely waited till I got to the crib.
I know. Listen, Ron, I know exactly. And here's how I know you don't open it in the car. Because I tried. Do not do that.
Oh, it's because it's going to be everywhere. It's sloppy.
G, get it
This
to the
is-
house.
Like this is a...
Get the burger, and forget the fact. It's just like Ron
you gotta
said.
cut that joint.
You
in
gotta.
half.
Well, first of all, please cut it. Or maybe not. Cassie doesn't cut hers. Listen,
Too sloppy.
get the burger and get it to the house. But Ron,
I'm like a little ass kid.
we got so much. We got so much stuff. You all.
Blah, blah, blah. But let me
Hook
tell
me
you.
up if it's more like that.
Okay.
It's-
So next. Okay.
Don't tell
All
them
right.
now. Don't, because they got to get in the group.
Don't tell them now.
Don't tell them
Oh,
now.
They gotta
We'll
join the
report
group.
Tuesday. Got to join the group.
I have it in the
Got to
group.
join the group.
I have it in the group.
Put it in the group. We're gonna do it in the group.
Oh, come on now. You better glow up on that. Come on now. Through the
But
glass.
who'd I learn that
Bam.
from?
You learned it from me,
That's
honey.
what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Put it in the group.
Okay.
No, we're not gonna tell.
You
want to
know about this? Goodness.
It's fire.
Okay.
Fire. You
And
understand?
I worked out this morning too, and I'm still burning calories. Like my body's still working because when you are doing the animal-free April and you working out, it intensifies your journey, and it's gonna help you. It's gonna put you on the like turbo. Like I still feel my body burning right now. I'm loving it.
I love it. I love it.
Cause this little pocket of Koya, the stomach that she put on me when I pushed her out, it's gonna
Guys,
be
listen,
gone
listen,
by
let
my
me tell
birthday.
you-
My
let me-
birthday is June 8th.
Let me share this. And
Mm-hmm.
we had a conversation with Dawn. Y'all know Dawn now. Book of Dawn. Shout
Come
out.
on now.
She says she's going to, if I give her the ingredients, we're gonna sit down and she's going to veganize some of her recipes, including her gumbo.
Mm.
And we gonna
Definitely need to veganize that.
definitely. So April, and then we got a surprise coming for everybody in May.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just got to try it. Just got to try it. 30
We got
days.
a few more people on here. We need
Yeah,
y'all to share a
absolutely.
little bit more.
Oh,
Thank you,
yep.
Boosie, for sharing.
Thank you for all the shares. We appreciate you all.
Tucson's so silly. He said, laughing my ass off at that reenactment. I'm telling you, brother. Like,
Hey,
it's
real talk. And then shout out, I want to say this because the lineup has changed for the station. And
Yes.
no doubt we have a few people in the room who would normally be listening to Izwiz, right?
Yeah.
Because we're on, what'd you call it, alternating days now? They're Monday, we're Tuesday, they're
Yeah.
Wednesday, we're
Yeah.
Thursday in the same slot. So welcome to the Izwiz family as well. We want to acknowledge that.
Hey,
Especially since, did you all know that Tucson is in Animal Free April?
come on.
So y'all got to help keep him on track. So when
Yes.
he's on the air, Ron, don't let two get away with when he's on the air tomorrow, Friday, Relationship Friday, whatever they do on Izwiz, remind him now.
Watching them. I'm watching them.
Yeah, keep an eye on him. Keep an
that.
eye on him.
Do
We
that.
love it. So we appreciate you all. But the show today, Cassie, I'm looking forward to it because it's a lot happening in the news.
It is.
It's a lot happening, and it can be heavy, right? If you just between the Derek Chauvin trial,
Oh, man.
and what's going to happen with that, the George Floyd case. We had the young man.
The unfortunately, the new cases that have popped up.
I can't think of the young man's name right now.
Dante?
Dante, yeah, that's it. I got it right here on my on some of my paperwork. But I was watching every now and then when I'm not watching the bigs. I'll tune in to ESPN, and there was an NBA player. Can't think of his name, but they were playing the soundbite or the clip, and he said he felt that since the George Floyd murder last year, that nothing had changed, and that he felt frustrated. So I, it just got me to thinking. So between the new shooting, right? Because you got potential shooting that happened in Chicago a couple of days ago. You got the officer who said she didn't know she was holding a taser. I mean, she didn't know she was holding a gun. She thought it was a taser. You have the trial that's going on. And then there is this HBO series, Extermination of All the Brutes. Right? If you all are not, I recommended everybody watch it. I was having a conversation this morning, and it's not that many of us aren't aware of some of the historical points that they touch, but the way they touch it, and then it's history mixed in with reenactments or vignettes, and it's extremely powerful because it just draws to the fact that we have really been seriously abused, murdered, colonized. Like, you could just go down a list of derogatory and nefarious terms. We have been all of that for hundreds of years, and it brings to mind to me, and I heard Toussaint mention it yesterday, but I was having it in the conversation. At some points, I don't really think we know who we're dealing with. I think that we have, just
Forgive
for the
me, guys,
sake,
I'm tagging the world, but
I
go
got
ahead.
you. For the sake of survival, right? We have moved into a period where we have, I won't even say forgotten, but really not understanding that these people mean business.
Yeah.
And they mean
Absolutely.
business by any means, whether it be murder, decapitation, cutting your hands off, like whatever it is, they mean business, and they spend billions of dollars every year on the military to reflect that they are a violent people. Because they spend more money on military than they do on even what's happening socially in the streets, right? Before you fix a bridge, you can get a new jet fighter or a new warship. So just something to keep in mind, extermination of all the brutes. And Toussaint, drop that in for me if you're still listening, because I want to make sure I'm saying it right. It's either exterminate or extermination. I think it's like a 4-part series. I'm in like part 3 because I'm watching it. It's on HBO.
Okay.
Like literally, if you got whatever, the Fire Stick or
If
whatever.
it's on HBO, you know it's deep.
Yeah. It's on HBO. So
They take really.
I mean, it's a lot happening.
Yeah, they really scrutinize and curate serious content for that channel.
It's crazy stuff.
yeah.
Hey, what's up, Jazzy? I see Jazzy out there.
Jazzy!
You taking a break, or you just chiming in? You taking a break? You hanging out with us for a little bit? What's the word? Drop something good in the comment section. Yes, indeedy. And I gotta do this. Shout out to Jazzy, because between Cassie, but your girl be making some vegan dishes.
Oh, Jazzy!
Lord have mercy.
Jazzy kills it. Like she taught me that. Which one was it? It was
Which one? The
with the
the spinach cassava. Is it off the chain or what?
You see what my head is.
I see. Don't get me to thinking about it.
Listen.
Just
She was like,
let's all take a moment of silence.
She said, throw that habanero right there in the middle.
You got to just put it in the middle, and don't cut it open.
Don't cut. Just
put it right there in the middle.
yeah, right there in the middle. I
And
was
we
like,
African
oh.
people got to have
Oh.
that pepper in there.
Oh, the pepper.
Got to have the pepper. Got to have the pepper.
It is not going to
My
be
man,
good unless
my
it
man,
does not have
My
pepper.
man. Where's the pepper?
Huh?
Yeah, gotta have the pepper in there. So shout out to the food crew. We see you filing in. We want to thank everybody. Cassie, thank you
Yes.
for sharing.
Thank you,
We
guys.
thank everybody. We appreciate you because we are going to have an in-depth
it's about to
conversation
be
today.
deep.
And we don't want you to say, last time we did something, people was like, oh, I missed it. Don't miss it.
Don't miss it.
First of all, if you're working from home, you ain't doing nothing right now anyway. We already know you're trying to fool your employer. You just got your iPad on or whatever, just so you can show electronically that you are actually online.
You ain't got no pants on.
You ain't even showered today. You just got up and went right to the desk. I hope you did that. I hope you did that.
You
at
by
the very
yourself.
least.
I mean, you can't smell it through the screen.
No. Brush your teeth is about more than how your breath smells.
Because you want them to fall out.
Please don't let them fall out. Because now Cassie will tell you, don't worry about brushing your teeth. But if you trying to talk to her and you missing like 1.5, she is not talking back. Are you?
Don't do that.
Are you?
I will talk back.
For how long?
As long as I can handle it.
G. The missing tooth is almost as bad as the person who the spit gathers in the side of their mouth.
Come on, man.
Ron, you know what I'm talking about?
Famous Dex.
Oh,
I don't know him.
No.
I heard of him.
It hurts my heart.
Oh my God.
It hurts my heart. It hurts my heart. So, Cassie.
It'd be like that. It'd be just gathering right there. And then it starts to slowly come out. And then it hardens.
Okay.
And then you're scared.
Okay.
Thing gonna flick on me?
I'm scared when it starts developing. I'm scared. I don't got to worry about it. I can't. I'm scared when it starts developing. Dubs, what's up? Is that Dubs?
In the building.
Dubs, we got to bring you back on one of the
I'm
shows.
tagging the world,
Where's
baby.
May? Where is May?
She at work.
She actually working.
She at work.
Okay.
Like she's physically in the space.
T. I see you out there laughing, but T, it's real talk,
T,
right?
You know T don't
it's,
play.
Right.
Listen, she cuts.
T, it's real
she
talk.
cuts up, okay?
It's real talk. When it forms right here, especially if it's like your cousin or something, and you at the family, you like, come on, man, really? And you doing this the whole time.
You try to help them.
You like
inadvertently.
The whole time y'all talking, you like, is your mouth okay? No. Is your mouth okay?
Oh my God.
Cassie, tell the people who we got on the show
today. And he is already in the waiting room because it's about to get deep. We have Baba Mila. Or as Baba Crazy used to say, Baba Fapa Mile.
He told me that today. We had a whole conversation about Quasi, him, Baba. We had a great conversation this morning.
Baba,
listen, you all, we got to go to break.
Get your tools, Baba.
We got to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about traditional African spirituality. We're going to give some. We're going to talk about a little history. But then later on in the show, because it's prayer time in America, the question is, if it's prayer time, who do we pray to? And on that note, you're on the green side of things. It's Sadeek
and Cassiopeia.
We'll see you on the other side of the break.
WIFTBPM.
When you got to Kennedy King, so you remember Corey Brown?
I definitely remember Corey Brown from Morgan Park.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Murder, man. So I got it in with y'all one day before a game. And then y'all literally went out and destroyed some people by about 50 at Kennedy King. And I'll never forget, somebody shot a jumper. It came off long. And Corey will tell this story to this day. He says he went up, and I was in the stands. He went up for the rebound. And before he could jump, he said he felt a foot on his head. And it was you. And you caught it, classic P-Mac, catching it over everybody, putting it back in. He says before he jumped, he felt a foot on his head. And Corey was 6'4", easy.
On his head.
On his head.
Yeah, Corey, so he was 6'4", man. I used to I don't know, I had a knack, man. I was always uber athletic. Like I was taught earlier, if somebody shoot, you got to come from the opposite side. I had a guy in my neighborhood named Wayne Irvin, legendary dude to us in our neighborhood. Played at Chicago State, played at Wyoming.
Okay.
Okay.
Played against Patrick Ewing. He passed away a couple years ago, but went to CVS. He was a decorated player. A lot of people knew him. And he taught me early, like, you attack offensive rebounds from the opposite side. So if somebody shoot from the left wing, you crash from the right. If somebody shoot from the top of the key, you can crash because it can go either way and you can get it. I was so big and athletic. I used to get a lot of tip dunks. Like, for some reason, people never boxed me out. And once I got a running start, if it came off anywhere over the rim and bounced up, you was dead.
This is Eugene McIntosh, one half of the illest independent sports media outlet in the whole entire land, the Bigs. Check me and my player partner Terrence Tomlin, aka T-Tom the Great, on What's in It for the Black People Media Network.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday.
So this kind of music, we feed off of your vibe. So if you're feeling the music, we're going to feed off you guys, okay? All right? Yeah, you can start dancing. So please enjoy, all right?
Yeah, welcome back. welcome back. You are on the green side of things. It's your man Sadeek.
And Cassiopeia.
Yes. And we are here in this discussion. We have Baba Fagbamila with
Baba.
us today. Baba, can you hear us?
I can hear you good. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you well. And Baba is a priest of Ifa and a priest of Obatala. So I just want to bring that out. And those terms, we never want to assume, because we have such a wide-ranging, in-depth, and we have such a astute viewership on Wiftaba Media. We never want to assume that somebody knows exactly what we're talking about. So, Baba, can you talk to us a little bit? First of all, say hello to everyone, and then tell us what it means to be a priest of Ifa and Obatala specifically. So.
Alafia, Baba.
Hey, Alafia, Cassie, over here. How you doing?
Good to yourself.
I'm good. Ibashio Ludumare. Ibashio Bugbo Rimile. Ibashio Bugbo Risha. Ibashio Ifa. Ibashio Batala. Ibashio Egbe. Ibashio Risha J. Ibashio Gungula. Ibashio Maori. Ibashio Re from Bugbo Omoti Day. I go Ifa Ti Oludumare from Bugbo Omoti Day. If one Bugbo Re Kosi Bugbo Ajugun. Ashe. Yeah. So you said, what is a priest of Ifa? Well, to keep it simple, a priest of Ifa, also known as Babalawo, is a person who has been initiated, has gone to Igbo-Du, which is the sacred grove of the Ifa priests, and they've made a commitment, right? They made a pact with Ifa to serve Ifa and to learn about Ifa, and to learn the medicines of Ifa, the science of Ifa, to learn Odu Ifa, which are considered the sacred scriptures. And some of us have a destiny not only just to serve our Ifa, but also to serve the community with our Ifa. And so essentially, when you become Babalawo, what you are essentially doing is making a commitment to serve yourself, your family, your Orisha, and your community. So that's essentially what it is in a nutshell.
I love that. I love that, Baba. Go ahead, Cassie.
Who is E5, Baba?
Right. I was going to say who and what is Ifa?
So Ifa is a deity, but it's also a literary corpus. And so Ifa sometimes is interchangeably called Orunmila, which is the deity, which is one of the deities of the Orunmila that's part of the Yoruba cosmology and pantheon of the gods. But Ifa is also a literary corpus, which consists of 256 Odu. And Odu, that's like, I guess it's like chapters in the Bible. That's the only thing I can sort of associate it with. And some scholars and anthropologists have said that in each Odu, there are 1,680 verses that allows a priest of Ifa supposed to commit to memory. And it's not just committing to memory for the sake of committing to memory or for intellectual purposes, but it's to commit it to memory so that you can apply it in service of our community. So that's what Ifa is. So in a good book on it, if people really interested in really understanding Ifa, is a book written by Dr. Wande Abimbola. It's entitled Ifa, an Exposition on Ifa Literary Corpus. So he lays out, all of this, what I'm saying, in a much more scholarly way.
I don't know if it could get any more scholarly than literary corpus and the other 8 terms you just used that I wrote down so I can check later on. But if it's any more scholarly, I'll call you to get the cliff notes. Baba, I have a question, and so inside of that, of what you just said, I'd like us to take a moment, and I'll couch my question inside of my own experience. I was a 30-year-old man before I even had the comprehension of there was traditional or spirituality outside of, in high school, you learn about the 3 major religions, right? And then you learn some offshoots of those, so you learn about Islam, Christianity, Judaism, and then out of Islam, you got the, you have the black Muslims, right? You got Elijah Muhammad. You might learn a little something. You might even hear, I didn't even know anything about Israelites until I was older, right? But traditional African spirituality, can you just tell us a little bit about this journey of this spiritual system or religion? Some people say religion. I stay away from that term. But this native spiritual system and where it traveled from to and how we get it here in America.
Like I mentioned, the first time I came on, when we talk about African spirituality, it's a very broad concept, right? Because Africa is such a huge continent. There's 53 countries on that continent. And each ethnic group has some tradition that they had prior to colonial religions and imperial religions coming into Africa. And so, you have the Akan tradition, you have the Abosun, the Nsamanfo, you have the Vodou coming out of Benin, and of course you have Ifa coming from the Yoruba, you have Afa coming from the Igbo. So it's each ethnic group has its tradition. So when we say traditional African religion, that's the larger umbrella. But when we talk about Ifa in particular, if we're talking about the traditional religion that came from Southwest Nigeria, then we know that was dispersed throughout the diaspora as a result of the slave trade. And so you'll see, Ifa being preserved in various parts of the world, places like Brazil, places like Cuba, even places like Trinidad. You see aspects of Ifa preserved. And as I mentioned before, there's a good book that sort of talk about the globalization of Yoruba culture, edited by this scholar at Harvard University named Jacob Olupona. And so the book is called Orisha Devotion as World Religion, the Globalization of Yoruba Culture. And he sort of lays out how this particular tradition has spread throughout the Western world, but it emerged from the Yoruba people of Southwest Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And there's a in my very light and limited understanding of it, right? It goes through transformations, through travel. There are variations, in Brazil, like basically where people landed. And then there's also a very interesting history of how the enslaved and tortured Africans, right? Because we're beyond calling them slaves. They weren't slaves. They were free people held against their will and forced into chattel servitude. But how they actually took their heritage, their beliefs, and submerged them under the Catholic saints and the European overlay, or the spiritual system that was being forced on them, but how they weaved their own traditions, so that basically, in a simplistic understanding, the slave master or overseer would, bust the door open and it looked like they would have the saints up, right?
Yeah.
But the saints would actually be the Orisha, right? And so this combining of this kind of Catholic, overlay, but under that was really the tradition. Can you speak a little to that?
Yeah, our ancestors were ingenious in that way. You see it in Cuba, you see it in Brazil. And what you find is that where Catholicism was the main religion, our ancestors had a way of preserving the deities from West Africa, and they used it under the auspices of these saints, right? These Catholic saints, hence Santeria, right? And we found it slightly different in the United States, in large part because the United States is a Protestant country, right? So they don't have saints and so on and so forth. And so we found it to be a little bit different here in the United States. But anywhere where there was Catholicism, for the most part, and that's a general statement, you'll find that they were better able to preserve the tradition and hide it behind these saints that were predominant in the Catholic Church. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a awesome and I just wanted to highlight that again because I believe it's the genius of our people, right? And then dealing with a situation that today is incomprehensible in terms of literally being, uprooted from your place of origin and then transplanted somewhere where you have no idea and are inside of an extremely, extremely abusive system. And then to be able to hold on to your culture and morph it in a way until, it may appear one way on top, but actually serve to fortify and galvanize and to uphold and uplift you so that you can make it through this experience. I find it to be, ingenious as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So what I'm doing right now, everybody, I had put the link to the book, Baba, and one of the artists was like, "What? Amazon is selling that book for $800?" And
which one?
The Ifa book of the Corpus book. It's a
They're
long.
selling it for $800.
It must be out of print. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they have some. I went and found another link that has, I think, the options to an ebook, but it seems like it's a deep dive. But they are showing, I think, some libraries that people can potentially get it at. I think DePaul was one of them. So,
yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the classic books, like Ifa an Exposition on Ifa Literary Corpus, the Great 16 Poems of Ifa, all of these classic works on Ifa are out of print, unfortunately. Hopefully, we can in print so that people can get them at a price that's reasonable. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, Baba, explain to us a little bit. You have Ifa, you have the Orisha, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the ancestors, right? Personal family and lineage. Explain to us just a little bit about how that comes together, and you as a priest, how you serve the community and how that's integrated into your lifestyle. Like it's an active service. It's an active part of what you do. Can you explain a little bit of that, please?
Well, the ancestors is the foundation. We wouldn't be here without our ancestors.
Yeah.
And and there's right, and there's no equivocation about that. It doesn't matter what your religion is. You could be a Christian, a Buddhist, whatever. The reality is that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our grandmother and our grandfather and our great grandmother.
I say.
So in African traditions, we worship our ancestors, and I say worship because there's no doubt we wouldn't be here without them. Most religions worship dead people. It's just that we worship the people who DNA we carry, right? And so the ancestors are the foundation of it all. The Orisha, on the other hand, are cosmic forces, right? These are forces in nature that interact with us, and we part and parcel of these forces of nature. And these natures can have a positive or negative interaction with us, right? So we have to have some sense of how to interact with them and be in balance with them. And the thing I forgot to say about Ifa is a divination system, right? And so we also have to consult through divination how we are interacting with these cosmic forces. Now, we look at these Orisha anthropomorphically, right? We look at them as like beings, right? So we call them Oshun and Shango, Kalkabiesi, and Ogun, and Obatala, and Oya. But these are cosmic forces, right? Natural forces, right? But our ancestors understood that we had to think about them anthropomorphically because we are human beings. And that allows us to be able to interact with them in a way that we can understand. But nature, right? There's duality that exists in nature, in these forces that we call Orisha, both positive and negative, but they're necessary. Water sustains life, but it drowns you, right? So it's all about understanding how you interact with that duality that exists within nature. And so our ancestors understood that. And the way we understand that is through divination, through Ifa divination or Irain de Laguna divination, et cetera, et cetera. And then Ifa, like I said, is the literary corpus, it's the deity, right, that we call Rumila or Ifa. And it's a divination system based on the literary corpus. And Ifa really is connected to a larger theology. That is to say that there's a belief that we go to this place called Ajala, and we select our Ori, we select our destiny. And when we consult Ifa, what we're trying to understand is, are you pursuing your path? Are you doing what you said you would do on earth? Are you doing what you agreed to do on earth? And so that's how it all fits. But our ancestors were incredibly complex in terms of their understanding of spiritual phenomena. They weren't lazy, hence why we probably are not categorized as a world religion and so on and so forth, because it is, and it's not a simple I pray and go to sleep. It's really complex, and these forces do have an impact on our lives.
Yeah.
Well, I got another theory on why it's not considered a world religion, which is much more simple. It ain't white.
Right. I say.
Yeah, but it's cool. I get it. But if you're going to dominate the world, and you're going to, teach that Black people or melanated people are animal-like, they don't have high intellect, right. And there's this extremely complex spiritual science when you get into divination and probability. The science of the science of nature. That's why it's not considered a world religion, but it's antithetical to the worldview of Africans, in my humble opinion. So
I agree.
Right. I think Buddhism though is a world religion. I think people all over the world it is take on Islam as well.
But do they attribute that to?
They're not white religions, though. That's all. That's my point.
They are.
So that's it. But I do think that there is I think that the European colonization plays definitely a major role inside of that. And I also think that after you've been exposed to colonization, and that you just kneel and pray and hope. Then when you kind of come in contact with a spiritual system like Ifa, it's like whoa. And I've literally, Baba, there have been conversations that I've had with Nigerians, and that being some of the reasons why they don't participate. They're like, man, one guy literally said, I just want my kids to not have to worry about everything that comes along with them. Because, when it comes to Ifa, you have a responsibility, right? If you're here to serve a certain purpose, then you're constantly checking in to make sure that every aspect of your life is on that path towards your purpose. So that means that some things that you want to do, Ifa might not think it's the best thing for you, right? And so what he was saying was like, when you practice this, you got to literally check. You got to check to go out of town. You got to check to be able to go into a certain, career field. You got to check to be able to do certain things. And he was like, I just want my kids to go outside and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I could see that.
So that was some of the conversations, but I would love, for us to kind of really get into.
Don't all the religions check in with God to see what they're supposed to do? I'm being facetious,
yeah.
but they do talk about that, right?
Yeah, but see, Ifa comes with work though. Sometimes
I'm clear.
You know what I'm saying? We know.
Yeah, we know. Right?
We know.
It comes with some
and
work,
it does. I will say this though, right? You either gonna get it on the front end or you're gonna get it on the back end.
I got it.
You're gonna get this work though. God gonna give you this work.
You got to do something.
You got to do something. So cool. You could try to bypass it and take the easy route and seamlessly think that you don't have to do nothing and you could just go to pray. You could pray, but the sacrifice on the back end is hardship, depression.
And I think we're getting that already.
Right.
I think you're gonna get it either way.
Oppression, systematic racism.
Yes.
All that stuff comes with us not doing this work. And actually, it's just like anything. Once you start to practice, it becomes easy.
So,
I would simple. Rather, it's just, it just becomes a part of your muscle memory.
Because it's like working out, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it becomes part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
It becomes what you do. And I see Toussaint says Africa was colonized too. And so this is not because I'll go back to the
Africa was colonized.
Yeah, I don't.
What you talking about?
But to the point that I made about religions, whether it is all of the world religions considered by Europeans are considered after a point of them being able to augment or tamper with it. So what I mean by that is Judaism, Christianity, all of those are at some point of African origin, including Buddhism, Taoism, and all of that. But they begin to list them after they get into the lab and do a little tinkering. But they, Ifa and then the other some systems that are in Central, Sub-Saharan, Western Africa, they didn't tinker, they couldn't tinker and tamper with everything, and so we get them in a much more intact and direct method. And I think that's what's I really appreciate about the conversation, because you can go back with these beyond the non-melanated tinkering.
Yeah.
So but the whole service part, right? Because you brought that up in the beginning, Baba. You talked about the Odu, the scriptures, 256 of them, each of them having 1,680 verses, right? But the main part is this application of service, how you serve your community, your fellow man, fellow woman. So yeah, let's talk about, because I love the fact that Cassie brings that up. Like it's not just getting out your chair and peace to the gods, right? There's some work to do. How does one apply these systems in their daily lives?
Yeah, well, we apply it through prayer and communication, the service start with service in your shrines, right? You pray in the morning, first thing, and you check in with Ifa, or you check in with your Orisha, and you say, okay, what is the day looking like? Right? That's how I start my day. So the prayers can go on for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. It depends on what I'm doing, right? And the power that our ancestors had, that I think in some ways make them preeminent when it comes to a profound understanding of spiritual science, is that they were able not only to pray and communicate to God, but God was able to communicate back with them through divination. Okay. And so divination set the tone for the direction that in terms of how you practice, right? And when we communicate with the deities and we're seeking their blessings, right? In an effort to serve, we also have to give them offerings, right? Or what we call ebal, right? And when you give something, you get something back, right? So that's the crux of how we serve our Orisha. Then once you serve your Orisha will help you, right? To serve others, right? So it's like that. So once you are in harmony with the forces in nature yourself, then you have the support of the gods to be able to serve others. And so service really is what a priest is, right? It's what defines a priest, right? A person can be initiated to a particular Orisha, but it doesn't mean that they are a priest. A priest is one, or a priestess is one who actively serve, right? Whether it's their Orisha, their family, or their community. That's what a priest is. And a priest is not just one who sits around and is a pious individual, but it's the one who's knowledgeable, who knows the tradition, who knows the science of medicine, who knows how to do ritual sacrifice, who know how to do ebal, who's a diplomat, who knows how to talk about the culture in ways that's not off-putting to people, a scholar, a philosopher, a doctor, right? So a priest is multiple things, particularly an Ifa priest, right? But service really is what undergird it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
It makes absolute sense to me. Absolute sense to me. So, Baba, we have about a minute before we go to break, and we want to get everybody out there. Listen, we are really tuning in, having an awesome conversation. We're talking with Baba Fagba Mila, who is a priest of Ifa. He is a priest of Obatala. And we are talking about traditional African spirituality. Now, we're going to open it up. We did the history. We did some of the basic points because we want to, make sure that we can get on the same page. But, Baba, when we come back from break, we want to apply this to some real world. There's a lot going on in the community. You and I talked about it earlier today when we were on the phone, and there's a ringing question out there. And I know I asked the question, and or a couple of them, because I had some people call me and they said, "Man, it's a lot going on, and it's time for the country to pray, specifically Black people." And then the question I asked them was, "I'm with that, but who do we pray to?" So we're going to tackle a little bit of that. Listen, you all, we need you to like,
comment,
and share
that thing.
We need you to do it right now. Bring a few more people around this lunchroom table, because we are going to discuss, is there a spiritual war going on? Who should we be praying to?
Are we praying to the wrong people?
And, to
the wrong.
And is
Cosmos.
Traditional African spirituality really taking root in our African American communities? You're on the green side of things with Sadeek
and Cassiopeia.
And we'll see you after the break.
WIFTBPM. The Chicago Legal Network is the collaboration of attorneys that concentrate in many areas of the law most needed in Chicago neighborhoods. The CLN lawyers focus on personal injury, criminal defense, and other issues. The CLN lawyers all average over 20 years of legal experience and are dedicated to helping the Chicago community. The Chicago Legal Network is committed to developing Black lawyers through mentorship and co-representation. So if you were injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or injured on the job, or you need assistance with criminal defense, including driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information, or call 773-912-3545. 773-912-3545. Driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information, or call 773-912-3545. 773-912-3545.
If you didn't catch the last page in the Book of Dawn, here's what you missed. So you found that, but you also, during those times, made a conscious decision to create a base for yourself outside of the Isleys or the great artists that you toured with. And from that, the MoFits Project was born. Can you tell us how and why you did the MoFits Project?
Let me tell you something. I had been touring since I was 17. And what happened was your girl Eve was doing different events around town. And I remember it was right on 47th Street.
Yeah, I think it was Blue 47.
Yeah, one of those spots. So Eve was doing something with them. So they were like, we're hiring bands. I was like, I'm going to put something together and go play, play local. Let me do that. And through that situation from Eve, the MoFits Project was birthed. I was like, oh, okay, this would be great to actually come home and put quality guys together and make music locally outside of the touring. I just found another joy in it. And crazy, remember Terrence Kane came up with the name MoFits.
Oh, did TK? Yeah. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Terrence was like, you need to call it the MoFits, Reese. MoFits. Use your name. This is how that name came about. It was Terrence Kane and my girl Eve Bridgeworth. She was the launching pad for that, and then she would hire me to do different events, and she started hiring me to do weddings and stuff she was doing, and then it just kind of birthed into that.
Don't forget to tune in weekdays, 9 a.m. to the Book of Dawn from the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios. Roll Tide, y'all.
This is Tori Muhammad, and we want you to tune in to the Tori Muhammad Show that airs here on What's in It for the Black People Media every Monday and Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We talk and celebrate Black-owned businesses, Black entrepreneurs, and we talk to some of the best people in the food industry here in Chicago, Black chefs, Black restaurateurs. So make sure that you tune in to us every Monday and Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
WIIFTBP Media's just for you and me. WIIFTBP Media's just for you and me.
Between being a genius and insane, God, immortal. Yeah. Every minute I fight with lethargy, striving to be godly with an intelligence quotient that exceeds numerology. Scholar body honorary, school of prophet alum, anthropomorphized lessons so I could become the heartbeat of righteousness. The everyday fight to pump the blood of kings and breathe the breath of life. Moving up like Confederates and Yankee territories in the 17th century. But it's a thin line between divinity and iniquity. The Mason-Dixon hitting and complacent decisions can't escape the collision. Time be idle like Billy, party like a rock star, fall like that girl that used to endorse Trim Spa or Nirvana's lead vocalist, the clientele of the dream merchant like Mr. Chappelle. People think I'm sick in the mind, leave the comforts of Babylon behind and book flights on airlines to Africa. Traveling the globe, accomplishing goals like Ronaldinho. The victim of a level 12 quake, I rise through the wreckage, repairing brain damage and striving for perfection. Your mind can be your worst antagonist or a true pal, and you shall become legendary and futile. Decisions of a god in training on a daily basis. I nap purposely, trying to escape it. The thin line between the mastermind and the man of the master. Which one are you?
Yes, welcome back to the green side of things. It's a thin line between between a mastermind and the mind of the master.
Yes.
Thin line,
Yes.
thin line. So we are back. Welcome back to the green side of things. It's your man Sadeek.
And Cassiopeia.
And before we get started again, we see you coming back in the room. We know you stopped to grab a sandwich, get yourself some water. Hopefully it's water and maybe a soda. But we need you to like,
comment,
and share.
that thing.
We need you to do it right now because we are having an awesome conversation. We are in here with a priest of Ifa, priest of Obatala, Baba Fagba Mila.
Yes,
And this brother just got through breaking down part of the science behind traditional African spirituality. and we are opening up the second hour of our show, and we want you all to share with us in this conversation. And you wanted to, before we got in, do a thank you and a shout out.
I want to shout out my Sarah T. McCann for wishing me a happy anniversary.
Hey, T.
Thank you, boo. Love you.
Yes, thank you from all our ships.
Yeah.
So,
anywho, but the people is ready. They are lighting up.
They're ready.
You know,
we
all
see
in.
some of the comments.
Listen, Alvin said, "Who is buying this book? Is it going to give me power over the Illuminati?"
Well, we're gonna talk a little bit about that. We're gonna talk a little bit about that. So Bob, I want to jump in, and you and I were having a conversation, and our conversation was based on a conversation that I had with somebody, because I think I share some pretty different views of where we are and where we're going as a people. And this person said to me, hey, watching Extermination of All the Brutes, you got the Derek Chauvin trial, you got Dante, can't think of the last name, the brother that was shot by the police officer, female white officer, that said she thought she had her taser, right? We're still reeling from Breonna Taylor, right? You can go all the way back to Skittles with the brother in Florida, Trayvon Martin, right? I mean, you could go on and on and on. And so the statement to me was that it is really time for the country, especially for Black America, to pray. And I received that, and I think people use that, it's a phrase, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that terminology or the phrase. But then I flipped it back to the person I was talking to. I was like, I hear you, but I'm at the point where if we recognize that these are colonial systems, my question is, if it's time to pray, who do we pray to?
And what are we praying for?
And what are we praying for? And so I think that's a discussion that I'd like to have. You and I, we talked about it, but inside of these structures, though, real talk, because we want the spirit to match what we are seeing and experiencing in the physical, right? We don't want any of this brothers or sisters to be shot or walked into an apartment and be killed. But perhaps the definition to me of insanity is to do the same thing repeatedly over and over again and then expect a different result. Right. So even in that, how would you answer, if it's time for us to pray, who do we pray to?
Well, I think the person you were conversing with, I think what they were getting at is, and I agree with this, is that our community is suffering from a spiritual crisis. And I think, when we talk about issues in our community, we generally talk about politics and economics.
Yeah.
And these ideas and notions that really, in some ways, is connected to the very system that oppress us, right? Pushing public policy, but it's a public policy that's within an oppressive system that has a history, right, in this country. Or if we're talking about economics, it's usually within the context of a very oppressive global capitalist system, right? And so we talk about these things, but what we don't talk about is the spiritual crisis that we're facing. And so I think I can understand the person's sentiment because I do agree with that. However, when you talk about who do we pray to, that's a very complex, like I was saying to you this morning, that's a very complex, it's difficult to respond to it because of how people see, and I put, quote, God, right? Ask people, what God is to them. People will say a number of things, right? In terms of how they see God, how they conceptualize God, how they worship God, etc., right? I'm thinking like now, I think it's Ramadan.
It is.
Right? They have a particular framework for how they think about God, right? But the vast majority of the people in this country don't, right? And some of those people are Black people that see God in that way, right? So when you say who do we pray to, is really, to be honest, for me, difficult to say who, if I'm being honest, right? So yeah, it's just hard. That's a hard one for me I can't really, I wouldn't know how to respond to it if I'm
I
being
know.
totally.
Well, I know something that you taught me, Baba, in the very beginning, and something you said earlier today. There's one thing that none of us can dispute is that we got a grandma and a grandpa and a great grandma and a great grandpa, and that lineage goes all the way back to the beginning. So, could we start there?
We could, the problem though is that the last time I looked at the Priest Center on the study of religion, I think they said about 84% of the country are Christians. And so the mere of some of the ways in which we engage our spiritual life from an Ifa perspective will be considered an abomination, is evil, etc. Right? Even though there's no doubt that your grandmother is the reason why you're here.
Yeah.
Mere mentioning of it, right? Particularly if you mention it in a way that you have to approach your ancestors formally, people would out of hand dismiss it, right? Although I think more acceptance is coming.
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. But if I had to say what I think we should do, and if people would agree with this, I definitely think we should at the very least, pour libation to our ancestors and honor our ancestors and worship our grandmothers and our grandfathers who sacrificed for us to be here today. That's the very least I would say.
Yeah. And
Speaking
I think
shout out to Baba Kwesi. I meant to do that at the beginning, but yeah.
What were you gonna say about Baba Kwesi, Baba?
I just wanted to give a shout out to him.
Ashe. Baba Kwesi.
Baba Kwesi King Kwesi.
Call his name.
Yes, Baba Ronald Kwesi Harris. Man, give thanks. Man, I think that is something. I think as Black people, that's something that we all can kind of gather around, pouring out a little liquor, pouring out libations is something that, I think rings throughout, Black culture, period. Right? That's something people just know about spill a little bit and don't really understand where it all comes from.
I thought you were looking in my window last night. But never mind. When you said pour out a little liquor, I was like, Cassie, you was there? But go ahead, I got you.
Cause we know you did. Make sure you always spill a little bit, Sadeek, okay? But I think that's a really great place for us to start, because that's something I think we can all, connect to without it, without it going against, people's religions. Their chosen religions now.
So, and the percentage that you talked about, 84% of the country is Christian, and then you said that some of the things in traditional African spirituality may seem, I forgot the word you used, but I'll just use, go ahead. To some people, did you say blasphemy or?
Abomination.
Abomination. Yeah,
Right.
abomination, right? And so one of the things I asked the question because I really did want to get some feedback, and so if you all in the viewership, Facebook and YouTube, feel free to please comment and join us in the discussion, because I absolutely love what you and Cassie just got through talking about, right? Is there a common point? Because here's where my mind is going. In that 84%, in that larger Christian piece, and this is obviously our ancestors have been dealing with Christianity for hundreds of years, right? And so there is an adaptation to it. There's a tolerance for it. There is all of those things, right? And so this by no means is a conversation to thwart or make fun of or just pull out somebody and make them feel bad about their Christianity. My question in its origin, like who should we pray to, right? Or what can we do collectively, is to begin the dialogue, right? Because as I started out, if you continue to do the same things, right? Like, be involved in some of these thought patterns that really haven't served us, right? Maybe we just need to switch up a little bit. And maybe it's time for us to, without emotion, right? without bashing one another or shaming one another. Maybe it's time to really lay some things on the table and take an assessment of what's got us to this point, what's not working, and then try to switch some things up. I think that calls for some spiritual maturity, right? Rather than just getting emotionally or feel attacked or let the ego jump out or, you know, this is what my grandmama taught me. Well, okay, I got that because I was raised in that as well. But how do we just take a sincere, honest inventory of what's working and how we move forward without feeling attacked by one another?
Yeah. Baba. Oh, go ahead, Baba.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
So right, we often have different conversations, and I know that there are some things that, you know, you've kind of given me in regards to how we kind of navigate back and forth between once you've been exposed to a traditional spiritual system like Ifa, and then also still navigating with the world that we live in, right? So funerals. There's been lots of times we've had conversations about, you know, going to a funeral, and you've even told me in very recent times, hey, it's not your blood.
Yeah.
You know, that's something. And why do you say that to me?
That if it's not your biological relative?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you think about it, right, these people really had, if they're not related to you biologically, they really had no bearing on who you are. You don't carry their DNA. You don't carry their genetic structure. You don't carry the memory of the family. You don't carry none of the characteristics, except just on a basic scientific level. They really had no connection to who you are. But when we neglect our ancestors, right, our biological ancestors, think about this. And let's just take it out the ancestor realm for a minute. You all have children, right?
Yes.
You did everything. You do everything for your children, right?
Did everything.
You were doing things for your children before they were cognizant that they were even alive, right? They didn't even know who were doing things for them. Let me just say it that way. They didn't.
Okay.
Right.
They were unaware of what you were actually doing for them, right? Maybe they were, but as best we know, they really wasn't.
Right.
So imagine doing everything you can, making all types of sacrifices for your children. And then when they turn 25, they stop talking to you. They don't interact with you. No appreciation for the sacrifices you made to ensure that they have food, clothes, shelter, and safety. They never interact with you ever again. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Right?
What?
And someone say, well, oh, you should honor your mother.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, that's evil. Well, that's the feel, right? Right? Your grandmother held you, right? And you weren't even aware she was older than you. Maybe you were, but you didn't know. You wasn't as cognizant of it, right?
Yeah.
It did things for you as a child that you can't recall right now. But you know they did it.
Yeah.
Right. So when you just sort of dismiss what your parents, I'm thinking about my mother right now, like how much sacrifice she made. She's an ancestor now. My father, how much sacrifice he made.
Yeah.
He's my grandmother, Ruby Lee Watson. You know, these are people who did a lot for me. Or I think about my own kids, right? I think about what my mother did for them.
Yeah.
And what their mother's mother, their Yanla, did for them when they were completely unaware that this was happening. They couldn't even, if you could ask them right now, what did they do for you when you were 2? They wouldn't know.
Right.
But we know.
Yeah.
So to just dismiss, right, the sacrifices that were made for you to even survive is offensive to the ancestors, right? And the only way you know the real power of ancestor worship is you have to actually do it. It's not a theory.
Yeah.
It's not a belief.
Wow.
It's not faith. It's a knowing.
Yeah.
Right. And when you pour libation to your grandmother and grandfather, there's a certain empowerment that comes with that. And I'm going to say this. When you look in our ancient classical civilizations, ancient Kemet, one of the things you find in that history is they perfected this mortuary science. They perfected mummification. There's a reason for that. Why were they so concerned with preserving the dead, right? And why is it that people who were so concerned with that built one of the greatest civilizations in the annals of history? It's something to, right? And so why? The ancestors empowered them, they guided them to be able to fulfill their destinies on earth. Why? Because the ancestors had done it before, so they have a certain insight, a certain knowledge, a certain wisdom about how this world works, and they can guide you through it. But when you totally abandon them, you allow yourself to be vulnerable to some of the things that we see in our community. Black homicide, increased single parent homes, massive incarceration, a lack of a strong, solid, and moral foundation. People say and do anything. And so it's just a whole lot of things that happen when you disconnect from your ancestors. And finally, when you disconnect from your ancestors, right, and their guidance, right, it allows you not to be able to fulfill your destiny in ways in which you could if you were connected to them. Thus making you vulnerable to all the stuff that we see ourselves vulnerable to. So that's just an assessment of it, you know.
Man, so I'm just trying to imagine. I'm imagining.
That's powerful. First of all, let me say that.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's what I'm actually about to get to.
Yeah, that's
because imagine all of our people over here, right? Just over here in America,
stopped
and worshipped their ancestors, or if everybody consistently poured libations to their ancestors and just spoke their names, the protections that we would all get from all of the bull that's happening. Because again, as we talked about on Tuesday, and I think even last week, white people are spiritual.
Yes.
They are spiritual.
They are.
And that spirit is one of the main components to be able to have a fortified, oppressive system.
So Cassie and Baba.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
Who's on the birthday line? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Baba, we're going to do a special Ebo after this for Cassie. No, my question is, so if it would be, and I don't think there's an if to it, I think it would be powerful for the African descendants, those of us that are over here, to simply acknowledge and to call on our ancestors. Right?
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. So just as we think that is powerful, do we think that it is by happenstance or chance that we are directed away from that?
No.
Oh no.
No.
That's very deliberate. I mean, it's evidence.
But that's why I'm going, like, yeah, it would be powerful. And so in the flip side of that, is there a reason? Because again, inside of what you brought up, Baba, there are certain things inside of African traditional spirituality that would seem as an abomination, or at very least not to coincide with, right? Just doesn't go with it without all of the all of the hyperbole. But what, is it by design that we're not doing that? Right? Or is it happenstance? Or is it just, it's just the way it is? I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, it's clearly by design. There's a book when people come into the tradition that I recommend that they get. It's entitled Slave Religion by Albert Robitaille. Albert Robitaille was a scholar of religion. I think he taught at Princeton University, but he goes into this whole thing about how, the worship of our traditional gods and ancestors was systematically there was a systematic approach to taking us away from that and really destroying our perception of what that meant for us traditionally and historically. So it's no doubt. I mean, it's all kinds of historical evidence showing that's the case, right? And when it's like a child that disconnect from their family and they're out in the wilderness, right? Can you imagine your 5-year-old child? They don't have their mom and dad around, right? They're going to be aimless, right? They're going to not have the support, right? Well, it's the same thing. When you tell people, when you disconnect people from their ancestors, right? When you disconnect them from their grandparents and their great-grandparents, right? Because we've been socialized to believe that reality only exists within the framework of the five senses, right? If you can't touch it, if you can't smell it, hear it, see it, right, then it's not real. But people who practice tradition know that the things you can't see is much more powerful and much more profound than the things you see, right? And when you disconnect from the other world, right, it's like you're an aimless child. You don't have the support, you don't have the protection, you don't have the guidance, you don't have the insight, right? And so you're going to live the kind of lives that you see us living.
Yeah.
You know, you're not grounded, you're not anchored. And then you'll find yourself trying to fit into systems, fit into cultures that consistently reject you, yet you continue to do it and wonder why you're disempowered.
Yeah, it's like the Jungle Book. It's like the Jungle Book.
Right?
Baloo wants to be a bear. You know,
right?
You're not a bear, Baloo, or whatever his name was.
Look at the standards that were set by our ancestors, right? When you look at what they valued, when you look at their worldviews, right? When you look at what they considered important, not what your enemies and your oppressors see as important, then you know you will be empowered. But we're not connected, so we striving for things that doesn't serve us well, serve our destiny well, and certainly don't honor our ancestors. So that's my view on it.
Yeah, I'm soaking it up, Baba, because it is. I think it's of extreme importance that we even just sit at the table and discuss it, because I think there are a lot of discussions we don't have, and I'm bringing myself into this, because of the spiritual alignments that we choose. And then we become defensive, we become unwilling to look at the
or didn't choose.
Right, and we become defensive and unwilling to discuss the fact that water is water no matter where you are on the planet.
Right.
And so there's a universality, but there's some commonalities, and there's some things that we need to discuss so that we can get different outcomes. I like what shout out to Salim Muwakil, who is in the audience.
Yes.
King Salim, he said that some have speculated that George Floyd's calling of his maternal ancestor before his suffocation or murder is the reason for the unprecedented global response to his death, because he called his mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before he left this world, right? So we're talking about something that, regardless of where you are or what religion or place or how you feel, right? These are some spiritual principles that, if we talk about them, maybe we can augment some things and get them working for us, as opposed to against us, or at least pushing us in the direction that we need to go.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's a very powerful and important conversation. So I appreciate you and Cassie for throwing that back and forth, because I think that honestly we need to sit down and discuss this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know me and Baba has had conversations specifically around George Floyd and that same sentiment that Salim presented.
And that's a huge piece, and it's been highlighted by the media. And then if you listen to him in the tape, it almost does something to you internally, not only to just see him with the cop's knee on his neck, but to hear him call out.
Yeah,
it's a very, and maybe we don't even know why it's powerful. We just break it down to it's emotional, but there's a vibration going through that, I think these are things that we need to discuss.
Yeah, it was captivating, not in a way that I enjoyed it, but in a way I was literally, you're like trapped into that moment, and you really feel that whole energy, all of it, him and the ancestral energy that's pouring, and Chauvin in the complete opposition. Like, it looked as though Chauvin, there was a spirit that entered inside of him. And he was at his complete mercy. Like his face did not move. He was locked in, focused in, and he was still. Very still.
Right.
Like, I had never seen such calm while aggressive at the same. Like it just, I didn't understand it. I was like that. He had something inside of him as well.
So let's do this. Speaking of the calm, wild aggressiveness and the spirit that was on Derek Chauvin, Baba, when we come back, and Cassie, want to talk about one, are we at are we in a spiritual war? And then the other thing is the extermination of the brutes, right? Baba, you and I were talking about this, and one of your sons asked you what I think is a very poignant question. And so just want to talk a little bit about that, and then how you relate to this real world understanding of where we are and what's happening to Black people and Black communities every day across America and subsequently across the world. You're on the green side of things with Sadeek
and Cassiopeia,
and we'll see you right after the break.
WIIFTBPM. The Chicago Legal Network is the collaboration of attorneys that concentrate in many areas of the law most needed in Chicago neighborhoods. The CLN lawyers focus on personal injury, criminal defense, and other issues. The CLN lawyers all average over 20 years of legal experience and are dedicated to helping the Chicago community. The Chicago Legal Network is committed to developing Black lawyers through mentorship and co-representation. So if you were injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or injured on the job, or you need assistance with criminal defense, including driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information, or call 773-912-3545. 773-912-3545.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality Black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe Black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of Black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
WIIFTBP Media's just for you and me. WIIFTBP Media's just for you and me.
Back. You are on the green side of things with Sadeek.
Cassiopeia.
With Sadeek.
And Cassiopeia.
Yes. And we are live. We got the super producer, Ron Rilla, hooking us up. He's on the ones and the twos and the board.
And the whole board.
Everything. He's got it all covered.
Yes.
And we are in a conversation with Baba Fagba Mila, who is a priest of Ifa and a priest of Obatala. And most importantly, he is a servant of the community and an upstanding brother that I would vouch for any day, just as a black man in society, as a father, as a teacher, as a scholar. This young man is unbelievable to me. So I just wanted to share my appreciation for you, Baba, for even coming on the show, and just my personal appreciation for who you are in this world.
Baba,
I
real
appreciate
quick.
this. Now, you know, you're Sagittarius, right? I paid them, y'all.
I love it.
I gave him like $100 to say all that.
Yes. Thank you. Let them know that priests use Cash App too.
Right. Baba, real quick, the song that we played, right before coming back on, I don't know if that's an Alukumi song or not, but do you know, or if you was tuned all the way in or not, do you know who they're singing to?
You know, I was trying to get the words. I couldn't get it completely. So I'm sure. Yeah.
Right, we may have to play it again when we close out. Yeah, we'll close out to that. Ron, can we close out to that song? Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. So we can listen to it. So Bob, I want to come back in. It's been conversation for the last week or so about extermination or exterminate all the brutes. Right, and this 4-part series on HBO, and just wanted to get some of you. You are actually doing it as a series with your children, right? To get some historical understanding, which I think is dope, and then having this father-son conversation, right?
Yeah.
But before we get into the conversation, though, I really want to throw out there the question, and to you and Cassie, just because of the great discussion that we're having, do you think or believe that we are in a spiritual war?
Yes, but it's not new. The spiritual wars are inevitable and persistent and consistent. From a Yoruba perspective, right? If we look at it strictly from an Ifa Yoruba perspective, and Kola Mibola does a great job outlining it in his book, Yoruba Culture, Philosophical Account. In the book, right, he lays out the universe is divided into two, right? On one side, you have the Isha, the benevolent force, the Malay. On the other side, you have what we call the Ajoguns, the negative forces, right? The Iyami, the witches, or death, sickness, disease, right? And then in the middle, you have Eshu, which is a neutral deity that communicate between both sides. Right.
Bobby, I always laugh. I guess with having an Eshu in my life, a child Eshu.
Absolutely.
I walk that every day.
So these forces are constantly competing to intervene in the affairs of men and women, right? And so this warfare is constantly going on, right? This is why we do sacrifices. This is why we do Ebo, right? And so even when I looked at George Floyd, I saw Iku, right, which is one of the Ajogun, death, right? We saw it right in front of the world take him, right?
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was thinking, what if we had done Dafa? And what if Ifa had said, this Ajogun, this negative cosmic force is coming to take him, right? That's where the science come into Ifa. We do Ebo to avert it. Because not all deaths are deaths that's supposed to happen, right? Some deaths happen before they supposed to happen. I mean, some people leave it before they supposed to leave. So this warfare, right, is always happening, right? And the more good you do in the world, right, the more that these forces come at you, right? Now, when we look at, that's how you know you're actually doing something. If you're doing good work,
man,
forces are not coming at you, you're not doing good work. I think about somebody like Martin Luther King. Let's just take him for an example, who This man did nothing but advocated nonviolence, and he wanted to help people. That's it. Man that do nothing wrong to white people. What did they do though? Kill them, right?
Yeah.
But they were just a vehicle for the Ajogun. And this culture, particularly white Western culture, I mean, the vast majority of it is Ajogun saturated, negative saturated, right? And they have this type of energy of domination and destruction and oppression. And I'm not saying all white people because that's just not true, but I'm talking about the culture of whiteness, right? Saturated with this notion of Ajogun or these negative cosmic forces, right? So this spiritual warfare is gonna always go on. The question becomes, how in tune we are with nature or the Orisha or the ancestors. That's number one. And number two, did we do our elbow? Did we do our sacrifices? Right?
Yeah.
Right. Because these are Joguns, and if you think about it, right, spiritual warfare happened right in your family.
Yeah.
Right. There's always one person that's just bring problems, right?
Man.
It's always right. You in the organization, there's gonna always be one person or maybe two that's just trying to rail the whole thing, right? So this spiritual warfare always happened, but what we have as Ifa practitioners is the science of Ifa and doing our ball, right, or sacrifices to avert or to at least bring balance to the, as with regard to how we relate to these forces. So yeah, right now I think the spiritual warfare is more visible. I think we can see it more, right, because it's playing out on social media and it's playing out in the news and the media and so forth. But it's always going on, whether it's on a macro level or on a micro level.
Wow.
I love the answer.
We just need a mic drop just every time.
I love the term Ajogun. And I love the phrase, because Bob, I didn't know if you know this, but I got about 4 pages of notes because I'm literally in class. He has
to be ready for you, Baba.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You like,
that's definitely.
I'm about to get this down.
But the culture or their culture is Ajogun saturated. And I think that is, again, I think that's something that we need to talk about, and not from the point of, because I love Cassie's framework, and a lot of times it's about empowerment and what we can do as opposed to giving them power, right? But I think the balance in the middle of that is recognizing, like, man, they own something different, right? Yeah. They are on something different, and so the extermination of the brutes, right, or exterminate all the brutes, right? You're watching, and your son had a question, and in relevant to this Ajogun saturated culture, right, as we can see play out through history. Talk a little bit about how you see the series, why you're doing it, why you're watching it with your children, and then let's get to the question that those bright, like luminary children you have are asking you.
Yeah.
Well, Sadeek, like you said, people like us who read the history and kind of know the history, not all of it, but we've done a share study. We know the relationship that we've had with our oppressors. I mean, we just know it. I think what Exterminate All the Brutes does is it really illustrates in a very visual way how this history is played out over a few centuries. And so Malcolm X, right, and I always quote him because I think it's so profound what he said. He said that history is best qualified and most attractive to reward our research. And for us, when we go back in history, it's not, when I was young, I used to read history just to show how much I know and look how smart I am.
Right.
Trying to be deep and all that. But now when I read history, it's all about the lessons. It's about the wisdom, what worked, what didn't work, right? And what's persistent, unfortunately, is that we've had a relationship of being oppressed by this group of folks. Now, this is not to say that there aren't some good ones, people don't help you out, a couple of individuals in there. I'm talking about collectively. Our relationship has been one of being subjugated by this group. And I think that what Exterminate All the Brutes demonstrate unequivocally is that not only are we the victims of this oppression, but people
Mhm.
around the world. And this is a global movement. It's almost like what Dr. Francis Cress Welsing says, that white supremacy is a global system. And so exterminating all the brutes just sort of support that thesis, right? And so, again, we have to look at this history. We have to be clear of what this means for us in terms of our relationship with them, not to get too focused, but understand how we got where we are. And then at the same time, we have to move on and build our own structures, our own systems, empower our own people, empower ourselves, build our own communities, right? We can't get too focused on that, but we have to be aware of it. So that's what exterminating all the brutes is all about, for me at least. Is just how Brother Ruel Peck just sort of really laid out in a visual way things we've been reading for years. And that was really useful talking to my teenage sons. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what was the question? You shared a question that your son asked you, one of your sons asked. And
My youngest son,
yeah.
he said, and this is the persistent theme, because we have these Saturday schools where we talk about historic figures, something maybe soon. And we were really doing it a lot before my mom transitioned. Then we stopped for a minute. But what we do is we try to, again, approach history, not just to recite it, but what are the lessons here?
Yeah.
What are the things we can draw from to empower us, but what are the things we should avoid that may not necessarily work for us now? And one of the things my youngest son said, he said, I just don't understand why they don't teach us this in school. And I said, well, they would never teach you this in school. They're socializing you to fit in an oppressive structure, and you're not at the top of the structure. Right? And so that's why they'll never take, because if they taught you this in school, you would have a different view of the structure. They don't want you to have a different view of the structure. They want you to buy into the structure. They want you to value the structure. And this same structure is the structure, coming full circle, that oppressed your ancestors.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
This structure wouldn't exist without your ancestors. So when you worship this structure, you're dishonoring your ancestors.
No doubt. So yeah, it makes absolute sense, and it leads into and we talked about this, and we don't have enough time to go into it today, but again, Sadeek, with his with my mind, I like to pray and meditate outside of the ideas that were given to me, or that I even came to conclusions 2 or 3 years ago, right? So part of what I have been focused on are the laws of energy, even in particular in thermodynamics, right? And so we're trying to get out of a situation where Derek Chauvin would kneel on the neck of a brother in full daylight in front of 3 or 4 cameras, because they got this from like 6 different angles, right? It was like shooting a movie. But what I am postulating, or in my thoughts, is like you were explaining to your son, they can't show you this because of the system, right? And you wouldn't want to participate in that or you wouldn't want to be ingratiated into the system because you're not at the top of the system, and you would want to kind of do something different.
Right.
But I've been really tossing around lately that every facet of what we do in this system actually leads to the very things that we don't want. Simply because we're giving energy, right? Even in the laws, right? Because we're giving, so if we're protesting it, we're going to, go to DC and you write your congressman. I mean, all of these things that we are taught to do, which are proactive ways to address something that we are displeased with. But I'm personally assessing, just in my own mind, that maybe the reason that we don't see much of a difference is because we're still giving energy to the very structure in the system that is oppressing us.
That's a observation. That's a powerful observation, and it's a true observation. I don't know if you saw in the New York Times today, Charles Blow wrote a powerful piece, right, where he sort of lays out the persistence of police brutality. And he talked about that, each year about 1,000 people are murdered by police, and 40% of those people are African American. Right? That's what he said.
Wow.
Right. Now you think about that, right? And this has been going on. I mean, even when you go back to the 60s, right? You had the Panthers. That's the whole reason the Panthers started, right? Self-defense, right?
Right.
Right. And you could just go further back with the black codes, et cetera, right? So this has been an ongoing narrative, right? And what do? We protest the same people who have been persistent.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To your point, Sadeek. Right. And then what do we want? I mean, what do we expect from them, right? To treat us fair when there's no historical evidence that demonstrate that they would. Right. So why do we keep doing the same thing over and over, right? That's because we have a belief in something because we don't understand who we are and who our ancestors are. And I try not to make those kinds of statements because it comes off as, I mean, it's hard to criticize a lot because a lot of people do know about their ancestors, but collectively, right, it really demonstrates our lack of understanding of who we are. Collectively, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about individual people. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm including me in that we. So.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm including me in that we. Like, that's why I opened up by saying, like, there's some things that I didn't even have mental access to until I had been on the planet for over 3 decades. Right. So this is not pointing fingers, you're doing this, or this is not the purpose to me of the conversation is simply so that we can open up the field of thought, right? Simply so that we can be maybe a little more calibrated and balanced in terms of what it is we're discussing or how we are fighting this thing that affects us all. Right? Because no matter who you are or where you were, when people were watching that tape of George Floyd, right, or the replay or whatever, at that point, black, white, gray, but especially African American, there were people, right, drawn in by the experience, and there's this knowing that this is just, it's not right is an understatement. Right. But like you said, we're in a culture that is ajogun saturated. And so how do we begin to, at some point, and I think we've already started the process, but how do we begin to take more and more ground is what I'm interested in. How do we share these commonalities? It's like what Cassiopeia said, like we can all pour a libation. We can all recognize grandma and grandpa, right? And do some of these things that may have traditionally been culturally adverse to us, right? But maybe it's culturally adverse because we were removed from our culture. Maybe it's culturally adverse because it supports the very system that is on our necks, literally and physically, right? Yeah. And so like you said, maybe if we adopt some different things, maybe if we're consulting with Spirit, maybe if we're consulting with Ifa, maybe it says to George that day, don't go to the store. Right? To your point about the work, right? And or the brother that said it's going to tell me I can't go on vacation or I might not or do right or do this, but maybe it's not limiting, maybe it's guiding, and maybe it's putting us in a position where we can move forward as opposed to going in this circle. No, that's real stuff. I mean, sometimes when you go on vacation, lots of bad things end up happening on vacation. And if you are checking in, it might have said this ain't the good time for it. Yeah. Wait till later.
Well, here's
always a reason.
Practical, I think people. Yeah, I'm sorry, Cass. I cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Here's something that people can do if they really interested. That you don't have to stop going to the mosque or anything, a church or whatever. You can get a small table, put it in your house in the corner, write down all your ancestors, right? Your grandmamas, your great grandmothers, and biological, right? Get a clean bowl of water. You can get fresh fruit. And when you eat a meal, right, you can take a plate of food and put it on that table. And when you take that plate of food, right, you call all of their names.
I say.
Now they're not gonna come and eat the food. That's not what this is about. Right? It goes back to what Sadeek said. It's an exchange of energy, though. Right?
Yes.
It's an acknowledgement.
Yes.
Right. And you call out their names, and you give thanks to them for the sacrifice that they made for you to be here.
That's it.
Right. That's very practical.
That's so practical and it's so powerful.
I love that. I love that.
So
Baba.
powerful.
I love that.
And it's
Your
so
mom,
beautiful.
On your dad's side, and what you're doing is you're inviting your family, right? Just like you supporting your children, you're inviting the family from the ancestral realm to come down, right, and support you like you support your children, right? It's like a concentric circle, right? The older you get, the more responsibility you have, and the younger you are, the more you have to show respect to that outer circle, right? So it's like concentric circles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we are responsible for our children, but our children have to respect us. And our ancestors are responsible for us, but we have to respect them. So it's that concentric circle.
Yeah.
And so that's real basic. And we have to do that a lot more, not just on Memorial Day, but every day.
Yeah, every day. Every day, Baba. And I'm gonna ask you formally, and you don't have to answer right now, Baba. You know we got Juneteenth coming up. So of course we would love for you to come and pour the libations, for us. It's gonna be 2 days, the 18th and 19th. And I think this will be something that I would love to actually kind of showcase that practice to everybody that shows up that day.
I'm so ready to get out this house and out this little room I've been sitting in for a year. I'll be there.
Hey, well, Baba, I'm gonna say this. I am thoroughly in a moment of gratitude for you even taking time out of your schedule today to be with us, and to Cassiopeia, and to the viewership of the Green Side and What's in It for the Black People. I mean, they stuck in with us the whole 2 hours, right? There's a base of people who have not left one iota of the show, and so we really appreciate that. Baba, we got to have you back. We got to get out of here. We're being thrown out of the studio because we have taken up our allotted time, and so I want to say Ashe, Toda Rabah, Shalom. Yeah.
Madupwe Baba, Adupwe Fa.
Peace.
I think I might have been off a little bit on that percentage of Christians. I'm gonna look it up and give you the correct.
Okay, Baba. Well, you close. Don't worry about it. They already chimed in. It was like he close. He good and terrible. So look, Baba, we love you. We appreciate you, and to the members of the Wiftaba media audience, YouTube, Facebook Live, we love you. You've been on the green side of things. It's Sadeek,
Cassiopeia,
and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Peace.
WIFTV